Welcome to another LakeTurn Automation RPA solution overview. In this video, we're going to provide an overview of an ERP system data extract automation we built for a client that needed to create a data warehouse over their critical operational data. Our client needed to build out an enterprise warehouse over their cloud-based ERP system. However, as you know, most cloud-based software solutions don't provide easy access to their back-end databases, nor do they provide robust data export capabilities or the necessary APIs to export data from the system. While their ERP does provide interactive CSV reports, it was taking over 1 hour each day for a team member to manually retrieve all of the data needed to refresh the data warehouse. All of this makes for a prime use case for RPA, so let's dive in. Here is a high-level flowchart of the automation and how it functions. I won't hit all the details, but let's hit the highlights. The automation processes an Excel spreadsheet that contains all of the data extracts that the bot needs to retrieve. The spreadsheet contains the URLs in the specific ERP system that the bot will utilize for the data extraction. It signs on to the ERP system. It moves down through each of the URLs and ensures that all of the data is being selected in the data drop-downs. Specifically, the date range drop-downs need to be monitored and modified to ensure they are grabbing all of the dates in the date range to ensure that all of the data is being brought over to the data warehouse each evening. All of the data is queued up into a holding repository, a directory on the server, and once all of the rows in the spreadsheet have been processed, the bot then calls a PowerShell script that runs on the server and moves the client data over to an Amazon Web Services S3 bucket. That data is then retrieved by a nightly ETL load by the client into their Snowflake data warehouse. Once the data has been successfully transferred, the automation then updates the extract dashboard, which provides history and export size information that both the client and our support team can monitor to ensure that the automation is successfully executing each evening. So let's jump over and execute the automation so we can see it run. Before we watch the actual workflow run, let me give you an overview of the Excel spreadsheet that drives the workflow, as well as the workflow code as it appears in the ElectroNeek development platform. So first off, here is the Excel worksheet that I referenced in the high-level workflow we just looked at that drives the automation. As you can see, the extract name, the URL that the bot needs to access to execute the extract in the ERP system, and then a comments field that the bot utilizes to provide updates as it works through the extracts. As you can see here on a recent run, no rows were found for these two tables right here in the ERP system. So that is the Excel spreadsheet that drives the overall automation. Now let's take a look at the ElectroNeek code here very quickly in the ElectroNeek development platform. As you can see here, this is the main subroutine that drives the automation that, as you'll see in a moment, opens Google Chrome, logs into the ERP system, goes through each URL and extracts the necessary information. Once all the URLs are processed in the spreadsheet, it will log out of the system, close the browser. Then, as you'll see, it executes the PowerShell that moves the CSV files over to the client's AWS S3 bucket. Last but not least, it aggregates all of the file sizes in the output directory for use in updating the automation dashboard, which we'll also take a look at once the automation finishes. So there is the ElectroNeek workflow at a high level. So let's give it a run and watch it go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and run the automation here within the ElectroNeek Studio by clicking the green play button up here at the top. So after I hit play to initiate the automation, you're going to first see that the automation opens Chrome and it signs into the ERP system with cached and encrypted credentials. It will then, once it enters the system, work through the Excel spreadsheet we reviewed that has the URLs for the data extracts that it needs to execute. It'll go to the first extract on the list, which is work orders. It looks for any selection date criteria, and it will make sure that the date field has all, so we select all records. Once it ensures all the elements at the top have all, it will then go to the export function and export the results of the report to a CSV file that are saved into a folder on the hard drive of the server that is eventually transferred to the S3 bucket for the client. It will then proceed to the next URL on the list, look for any date fields. There are no date fields to select on this screen, so the bot will go directly to the export to CSV function. Once it selects that, it will again name the file and save it to the hard drive on the server with the proper name and date. Once it saves this file, it will proceed to the next URL on the list, bring up that extract report, look for date. There is a reporting date of next month. It is going to change that to all to ensure that we get all of the data. So as you can see there, it is going to select all and apply. And once it sees that all of the data is updated on this query, it will go up and select CSV again to export the data and save it to the server hard drive. It will do this in this particular instance around 27 more times. So for sake of time on this video, at the end of this extract, I'm going to jump to the log off process and the quick PowerShell run so we can tuck everything in. You'll see the PowerShell window has presented itself, and we'll watch here a moment as the PowerShell runs. This is transferring the data from the server hard drive to the client's S3 bucket. In this particular instance, it will be moving 12 files, and once that is done, the automation updates the dashboard, which we'll see, and it completes. So now let's jump over and take a look at the results. Okay, now that the automation has completed, let's take a look at the output. Here we are looking at the S3 bucket, the target location at the very end of the automation, and you can see that in the Field Edge extract folder, all of the objects that were extracted from the ERP system are here. Here we have 30 CSV files that were placed here and are waiting to be picked up by the nightly ETL load into the client's Snowflake data warehousing system. So our data made it there clean and correct. Let's take a look at the automation dashboard. Here is the extract dashboard. You can see here the graph shows the total file size for the extract. It hasn't fluctuated much over the week here that we've been running it. And down here at the bottom you can see a log of the actual extract times, the total size, the total number of files that were moved over to the S3 bucket, files that were skipped. Our automation does not extract and move over a file if there are no records. And the total exports attempted. This is the number of URLs that are contained in the Excel spreadsheet that we looked at that drives the automation. That concludes this automation overview. Certainly please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or you'd like to discuss automation opportunities in your organizations. Otherwise, until next time, may your days be bright and your process burdens light.